certain actions take place, you do things, you know they're not the optimal things to do, but you can't help it. It's something acts through you. There seems to be some power there that makes you do things that you know are not right or not good for you, and yet you can't stop it. That seems to be the case. And that, of course, is often the case with people who are, with you it might be many different areas of your life, but this is also the case with addictions. For example, people who are addicted to a certain substance, or who are addicted to eating too much or drinking. There's something that overpowers them in you, that seems to obscure the awareness, or the awareness is pushed to the side, and this thing, this powerful thing, does it anyway. And again, my answer is a little bit similar to what I said to the first questioner tonight. The power of presence needs to grow in you so that it is strong enough it's not willpower, because willpower is not the best way of dealing with these things, but it's what I'm talking about could sometimes be confused with willpower, but willpower includes the application of a force to hold something down. Let's say if your addiction is to indulge in intoxicating beverages, in other words, booze, and you can feel it. It comes on. There it comes. You know the bottles are there. There they are, and you feel you have to go there, and you have to reach out, and you have to pour yourself a drink. Now, when you're not aware at all, you don't even know what you're doing. You're so unconscious that you're already holding the drink and you're drinking. Then you, at that point, you even know that you're drinking. The same with food. I've spoken to people who have had addictions to food. They often say they wake up when they've already eaten. In the middle of the night, they've already unconsciously gone to the fridge, taken out the chocolate cake, and then they're already halfway through the chocolate cake when suddenly they're like, what am I doing? But so awareness comes in at a very late point. Willpower would be to hold an urge down. Let's say alcohol, they have the pull, or even willpower. You would say, I'm going to hold this down. I'm not going to do it. And you can feel the urge, but you're holding it down. Things down. Often after a while, an explosion happens. It's like a boiling kettle. Can't hold it for that long, and then you have some kind of rationalization in your mind. Why you'll do it anyway. The mind will give you a reason. I spoke to a man who is addicted to food, and his body was very unhealthy. He was extremely dangerously overweight. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but he was a wonderful man. And he talked to me, and often before he goes to indulge in excessive eating, his mind would say something like, "You've had a rough day, you really deserve a treat." It explains why it's the right thing. I'm not going to do it for much longer, but just today I really need a treat. Life hasn't been treating me, but it's the only pleasure I have. What shall I do? It's all I have. There's no other pleasure in my life. Okay, go to the fridge. You listen. I attempted to be able to show him that this thought is a deception, to practice presence power when you're not particularly tempted by anything and you're just in your room, there's no particular temptation. Go into the body, feel the inner body, be aware, be present. When you sense perception, I recommended that practice. Sense perception, feel the presence pervading every cell in your body, the inner body awareness, and so that there is enough presence for when this impulse comes, you use it as, don't say go away or something like that, because it won't go away, it'll do it anyway. The impulse comes, whatever it may be, and you observe, you realize it's not a good thing that it wants you to do, and if there's enough awareness, use it as every time an impulse of that kind comes, this is your special spiritual practice. So instead of wanting to get rid of it, welcome when an impulse of that kind comes, and see that this is a spiritual practice specially designed for you. Of course, it is. And so how do you transform this into spiritual practice? First, you realize this is an opportunity for practicing. And the first thing you could do is you practice delaying, obeying the impulse, not obeying it immediately, but delaying it. And you observe then, let's say when you wanted to go to the TV and turn the thing on, or you feel the impulse, or say, okay, here's my next spiritual practice. I'm now going to delay the turning on of this show on TV for 3 minutes. And during those 3 minutes, you observe the impulse in you. You observe, it's an energy form, and you observe it. Oh, there you are. There you are. So this time gap can be a very useful first practice, that you introduce a time gap before you give in. You're not saying, I'm not going to give in. No, you say, 3 minutes. During those 3 minutes, I'm going to observe you. And you shine the light of consciousness, the light of awareness on this impulse, which is an energy form. And it can be an energy form that is in you as a kind of emotion. It can also dangerously invade your mind and make you, the explanation I gave just now with this friend of mine, the thought comes into your head that explains why you should give in to this impulse that can happen easily. And there too, you need to be present enough, sufficiently aware, so that you do not believe in every thought, especially those kinds of thoughts. You don't believe in every thought that comes into your head. You observe the thought because the thought is part of it. And even to the thought you say, oh, there you are. There's the thought, and there's the feeling behind the thought. And you set aside 3 minutes. During those 3 minutes you observe that. Isn't that interesting? Wonderful spiritual practice. And while you observe, you grow in consciousness. You apply consciousness to it. Only 3 minutes. And then after the 3 minutes, see how you feel. It may have dissolved, but probably not yet. It's still there. And then you can see, can I do another 2 or 3 minutes? Am I strong enough for that? Is my awareness strong enough? And yes, it is. Don't believe you might, oh no, stop this nonsense, do it anyway. What happens after that, we don't know. It is possible that the impulse has receded, gone back to a dormant state, and you don't have to do it. It's also possible that the impulse is still there, and you cannot, after 5 minutes, there's not enough awareness left, and you have to go and do it. But at least the 5-minute interval, the time gap, was very important. And when anything like that happens, you always introduce a time gap for your spiritual practice, during which you do not hold it down, but you observe it. So you don't push it down, you observe. Oh, there you are. That is the spiritual practice, and after a while you will find that initially, perhaps after the time gap, you still do it. But then gradually this time gap gets longer, and then you may observe that the energy behind the impulse weakens, and it subsides until next time. But gradually it weakens, and all these self-sabotage mechanisms then begin to gradually disappear if you apply the awareness to it, observe them. There it is. So think of the frog. These are all the frogs and whatever there are, gremlins, frogs, that live in you as energy fields. And the energies are trapped there. They are not in themselves bad. They are trapped, like the pain body is an energy that is emotional energy that's trapped. When the pain body dissolves, it transforms into presence. It's like a fire. You put a log into a fire, so it's consumed and transmuted, perhaps is the word. It's transmuted into presence.